What the Jewish tradition says, first and foremost, that's relevant for this is that saving a life takes precedence over almost every other commandment in Jewish tradition. And not to go into it, but I'll just mention, because people wonder, oh, what are the exceptions? Right. Idolatry, forbidden sexual acts, and murder. Right? So overall, we're talking about something that's not just allowed, but commanded in Jewish tradition, where and when you can. And the other thing I would mention is that from a Jewish perspective, our bodies are not our own. They're on loan to us from God. And that has a lot to do with Jewish traditions around death and dying and returning our bodies kind of in relatively good shape as far as we're concerned. But that has implications for making the decision to donate, and where you might come down on this question of where God is with respect to organ donation and saving a life. I will say that in Jewish tradition, hope is huge. Throughout Jewish history, hope has kind of been the lifeline, if you will, for getting through a lot of very difficult, which might be an understatement, situations and periods of time. The national anthem of the state of Israel is called the Hope. And it talks about never losing hope in the worst of all possible situations, always holding on to hope. And that word in Hebrew is hatikva, tikva. And in the middle of that word are two Hebrew letters, kuf and vav, kav, that spell the word in Hebrew for line. So it really can imagine, and I do, a lifeline in terms of when someone is, if you can imagine, like in Psalm 21, where someone is kind of looking down like this because they're in despair and there doesn't seem like there's any hope or help. And Psalm 21 begins by saying, I lift my eyes up, and what do you see? And that is my way of visioning hope. That whatever you see when you lift your eyes up, and that line between where you are now in this place of despair and trouble and what is beyond that you might hold on to get there, like a donor, like a potential transplantation, is what will give you hope, or what may give you hope to get there. A Hebrew word here first. It would be that donation is a mitzvah, is a mitzvah. What that word means is a commandment. So donation, as far as I'm concerned, is a commandment, and it's a commandment of the community. Mitzvah has wrapped in it, in terms of a Hebrew word, something that we do together that connects us with other people. So you might say that organ donation is the quintessential literal mitzvah, commandment of the community, because it enables us as a community of human beings, the human community, if you will, that we're all part of, to, on the deepest and most profound level, to connect to someone else as a human being, literally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and to make that connection of life and choosing life be able to continue into the future. I'll end the way I opened. I opened by greeting everyone with shalom, which I'm surprised to learn, since I've been back in 2006, is a word that seemingly everyone is really familiar with. And sometimes just being out and about in Kansas City, probably because people see my yarmulke, my kippah, my head covering, random people who are not necessarily Jewish, and just say shalom, which is part of the good feeling in Kansas City for me. But let me just say something about shalom for a moment, because shalom does mean hi and bye, but what it really means at the root of that Hebrew word is wholeness. So when we say that to people, it's really we're wishing people a blessing of wholeness, and that whatever else is happening in their life, it should be something that makes them a more whole person, who they are. And so when it's about wholeness and not perfection, then I think in the context of organ donation, which is typically a situation where there's brokenness, and that's the need for whatever organ we're talking about. And again, we have the opportunity, we have the privilege to be a blessing in that way of making someone, making a situation, making the world more whole, more a place of shalom. So I'll end with wishing everyone shalom.